In the last class, we discussed the 7S matrix. When discussing the 7S matrix, we looked at the relationship between the S's and said the application of the 7S matrix to an organization tells whether the time is ripe for change in the organization. So, whether you should go in for strategic planning and management, this whether the time is ripe for change. So, among the 7 S's, strategy and structure is referred to as the hardware of the matrix. The remaining 5 S's are referred to as the software of the matrix. If you refer to my book on strategic management, it also gives you some idea of how all these S's interact. Kindly refer to that chapter number 2, and it gives you very clearly how you should how these S's interact among themselves. It also brings forth some of the comments made by this company, McKinsey, who are the creators of this 7S framework. There are two appendices in my book on page number 23 and page number 25. The first appendix gives you the corporate planning in BHEL. It starts from 1964 to 69, then goes to 69 to 74, then implementing the first corporate plan 74 to 79, then the corporate refounding the 80s to 90s. So, after the 90s, as you know, we entered into the era of liberalization. Appendix 2 is another important appendix. It gives you an idea as to why corporate planning may fail in an organization. It gives you several reasons why it might fail. So, the number of reasons given is 27. Suppose it has failed in an organization, you are likely to find that one of these or more of these reasons are applicable in that organization that resulted in the failure of corporate planning. Application of corporate planning in that organization. So, if just to give you one of the reasons, take reason number 1, failure to develop throughout the company an understanding of what strategic planning really is, how it is done in the company, and the degree of commitment of the top management to doing it well. So, this is very important. Unless and until the top management supports you in this strategic planning exercise, you are not likely to find success. So, the flow of strategic management should be from the top to the bottom, not otherwise. Okay. So, in chapter number 2, we have looked at the review of this 7S framework. It is available to you on page number 32 and 33. Kindly go through that, and it gives you an idea of how this 7S framework has influenced the working of organizations in our country also. So, if you really look at the present day Indian context, you find that most of the organizations, especially in the IT, electronics and also the manufacturing sectors, have made it a point to look at 7S framework. Okay. These are some of the developments that have taken place in this LPG era, that is the liberalization, privatization and globalization era. So, earlier when this liberalization process, we were forced into liberalization, as most of you might be knowing. So, in the 90s the foreign exchange reserves had dwindled to a very dangerous low, and in order to tide over that, we had to pledge the gold, and that was a time when this liberalization process in fact was in a way forced on the government. So, the government started the liberalization process in 91. So, afterwards so many changes have taken place. If you really look at it, we are into this globalization more or less whole hog in 2022, and in the last 8 years the country has really made extraordinary strides in indigenous manufacturing and development. Okay. So, that brings you to one aspect of what is happening around the globe, and try to look at how we are really in a position to adjust or proactively take decisions. If you look at the 21st century, what is happening? Nations are forming trading associations. So, why are they forming trading associations? It makes trading within regions easy, but between regions difficult. Kindly note this. So, trading within regions becomes easy, but between regions becomes difficult. Examples of these trading associations are the EU, the NAFTA, that is the North American Free Trading Association, then Mercosur, consisting of Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, then the ASEAN, Asian countries. So, what is the role of the Indian companies in this scenario? So, an Indian firm has to decide whether it will be better to be a regional player or a global competitor. If you look at the present day Indian firms, most of them want to become global competitors. They want to get associated with these different trading associations, whether it is the EU or the NAFTA or whatever. So, they want to make their presence felt in the committee of the world nations. This is what you are seeing over the last 8 to 10 years. If you really see, they have made a real dent in the world market. So, if you look at the world now, it consists of 3 dominant trading blocks. One is Europe, second is Asia, third is Americas. So, an Indian firm will need to have meaningful manufacturing and trading activities in every trading block. So, this is what you are seeing with respect to many of the present day Indian firms. Now, what has this globalization done? It creates opportunities, but also threats to companies not able to adapt quickly. This has been the problem with most of the public sector undertakings. So, if you really see, many of the public sector undertakings have gone into oblivion after globalization. Examples actually galore. HMT has gone into oblivion. So, if you really looked at the what do you call the mission statement of HMT, they used to say timekeepers to the nation. So, this globalization, what has it done to HMT? It has almost sunk it. Okay, so you have the other players who have become dominant in the watches market or the other markets with which HMT was associated. Initially, HMT was Initially, if you look at it, HMT was one of the companies which faced competition in lathe manufacturing. It was the first public sector unit to face competition in that sense, and it did well. But unfortunately, this globalization was a great setback. So, competition really put HMT on the back burner. Okay. So, the watches industry really has gone into oblivion. The lamps division again gone. Okay. So many subsidiaries of HMT were there. One of them was by the name Praga Tools in Hyderabad, gone. So, these are the types of things which globalization can do if a company is not proactive. If it is not proactive, it is very likely that it will shut shop. Okay. So many public sector industries have and are facing this. Now, if you look at the COVID scenario, that is the 2019 onwards, which were the industries which got thoroughly hit in this whole COVID 2019 scenario, it was the MSMEs. Take for example the Peenya Industrial Estate in Bangalore. You found nearly 50% of the MSMEs were forced to close shop because of so many problems, starting from working capital to raw material to manpower, etc. So added to globalization, this a pandemic created more problems for the survival of many of the Indian industries. But some of them did survive and are doing well. When HMT could not survive in these lathes, look at a smaller company like ES Industries. It is doing well in the global market, and one has to really analyze why HMT could not do well in spite of all the infrastructure support it had. Then more people at all levels in an organization are involved in strategic decision making. Greater need for more access to information, but greater difficulty in dealing with it. So, if you really look at how strategic management works, it looks at dissemination of information. So, many people have access to this information. The question then is, should they have access to so much of information? So, there must be some way of ensuring that a person gets the information that he requires only, not all other information not concerned with him or his division, things like that, unless and of course it is absolutely necessary. So, what is this whole globalization doing? Increasing pressure on organizations for quick response to changing conditions. may make it difficult to engage in planning mode. So, kindly note that. Even with its faults, may have to go in for entrepreneurial mode. So, Mintzberg's models of decision making, in the first place we looked at the entrepreneurial mode. A strong, powerful person takes the decisions in an organization. Will it always work? There were so many skeptics saying that not the best type of decision making. It has to be a consultative process, all those types of things. Sometimes because of these changes which are taking place so fast, many times you may have to skip many of these processes. So, even with its faults, you may have to take a very fast decision in this setup. Sometimes you may have to go in, that is, organizations may have to go in for entrepreneurial mode of decision making. So, this is the way world is moving towards in the present day setup. With this background, let us now look at one important component, that is the board of directors of a company. So, I would refer you to this book on by Ramaiah on this board of directors. So, he gives you the different sections which are very useful. If you have the time, you can kindly refer to that. Go to chapter number 3 in my book. At the end of this thing, you have the references given there. This is the first reference is Ramaiah, Guide to the Companies Act, published by Wadhwa and Co. More or less considered a very authentic book in the Companies Act field in the country. So, everyone refers to this book before taking any call on any of the sections. So, the BOD stands for the Board of Directors. What does the Board of Directors do? The Board of Directors oversees the running of the enterprise by the Chief Executive. Kindly note, it is the Chief Executive who has to run the company, but the Board of Directors provides him the direction to run the company. To individually, a director on the Board of Directors may not have great powers. In fact, he may have no power, but the collective body of the Board of Directors has superior total power over the Chief Executive, because it can always direct him to take this decision or this course of action. So, when it comes from the Board of Directors, the Chief Executive has to follow. It implies that it is a direction given by the Board of Directors and has to be followed in letter and spirit. So, this happens in almost all organizations throughout the world, including educational organizations also. So, there are several bodies in the educational institutions. So, you have the Senate, you have the court. In a place like the Institute of Science, and the Senate also provides directions. The Senate also gives suggestions to the director. Similarly, the court also provides suggestions to the director for smooth functioning of the institute. Okay. So, though the director is the person who is responsible for running the institute. Two sections are very important in this board of directors, that is the Companies Act again. One is section 292. What does this section 292 tell you? It says makes calls on shareholders in respect of money unpaid on their shares. Suppose you are a shareholder of the company, you are allotted shares and you have not fully paid up the share amount. Through this section 292, companies make a call, pay up the amount. Second is issue debentures. So, these debentures sometimes are secured debentures. Secured debentures means the company tells the debenture holder it owes him this money, that is say 1000 rupees debenture. The company says it owes him 1000 rupees. But when you took the debenture from the company also promises you we will pay so much of interest or whatever in different forms, so which is generally more than the bank rate of interest. Then borrow money otherwise through debentures. So, in fact, debentures are issued to borrow money from the public. Why will the public be interested in putting money into your company or any company? One is the person who is putting the money thinks that the money will be safe. Second, he thinks that he is likely to get a higher rate of interest compared to the bank. Then the next power which this section 292 gives is to the BOD is to invest funds of the company. So, chief executive himself cannot invest funds of the company beyond a particular point. He cannot take any financial decisions on his own. So, he has to go to the board of directors, and the board of directors has to give the nod. And the last point in section 292 is to make loans. Even if you want to raise loans from the market, the BOD has to agree. This is on section 292. There is one more section which is again very important, that is on section 293, which we will look at very shortly. We will stop here. We will continue in the next session.